good afternoon or evening, depending on when you're taking a chance to view this. Just wanted to thank you for that, and want to thank all of you. There's been so many of you who have let me know in certain ways that you have been watching and paying attention and listening and taking part in these daily devos. And I just want you to know that really means a lot to me. These last 4 months have been really, really crazy for all of us, and it can be very hard at times to know if you're still in touch with people, just the way things have been these last 4 months. And so I really appreciate that. Those of you that have sent an email or sent a text or just let me know, even through our streaming on YouTube or Facebook, just letting me know that you're there and you're paying attention, you're studying along. That's incredible. That's awesome, and that's great. Just as an update, this is the last one we're going to do for a couple of weeks, at least as far as this format. Next week, we'll release one video each night from our elders for those 4 nights, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Looking forward to that. I know that you will benefit from hearing what they have to say, some things that they've picked up, things they've learned, things that they've been thinking about or concerned about during this quarantine time. So I know that you'll benefit from hearing that. I hope that you'll tune into those each night. And then the following, we're really excited, of course, that Brother Mike Tays is going to share some lessons with us that following week. And then we'll come back to this format in a couple of weeks and pick up from there. And hopefully sooner rather than later, we can get back to some form of normalcy. And I know that you're anxious for that. We are too. But we also, at the same time, want to be safe, want to be careful, and we want to take care of each other. And I know our elders are constantly talking and meeting and discussing that very idea. So continue to pray for them. Continue to pray that they all stay healthy and that they're able to make decisions and to do things during this time. It's very difficult, and I know I've talked to several elders from other congregations, and they're going through the same thing. It's very stressful. It's very difficult. So please pray for them in your daily prayers, in your daily conversations with God, which segues nicely into what we've been talking about this week. We've been talking about conversations with Jesus Christ, and it comes from the Gospel of John. And this is certainly not the last one in this book. And there will come a time where we will come back and we will give due diligence to each of these conversations, perhaps in a Bible class format or even in a sermon series. But we've tried to just sort of hit the high notes, and we've covered in John chapter 3, in John chapter 4, John chapter 6, and on Wednesday night, then John chapter 8 last night. Tonight, the last one we're going to cover for this particular set is in John 11. So take your Bible, turn to John chapter 11, and let's look at this conversation. And it really is, it's really a three-person conversation. These 3 people have a conversation with Jesus, but they have them individually. So it's really interesting. And you know the story probably, perhaps, but there are a couple of principal things that we want to point out. This is John 11. Let's summarize. Let's summarize the first 16 verses, and that is that Jesus is told that Lazarus is sick, and he says, let's wait a few days before we go. And then he finally says, okay, we're going to go now. Lazarus, our friend Lazarus, is fallen asleep, so we need to get up and go. And the apostles don't really get that terminology, and they said, well, if he's asleep, then he'll wake up. And Jesus said, look, Lazarus is dead. I'm telling you this because I'm actually glad that we were not there, because this is going to lead us into an incredible teachable moment. And Thomas follows along with Jesus, says, all right, look, he's apparently traipsing off to his death. Let's go die with him. That's the lead in to our 3 conversations. If you look at verse 18, John chapter 11, verse 18, now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem. Many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in their loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed home. Okay, here's person number 1. Martha, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died, but I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, now this ties back to our John 6 discussion, okay, about the bread of life, how Jesus tried to be transparent with them, but a lot of them, it went right over the top of their head. Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe that? Yes, Lord, she replied, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God who is to come into the world. Now, she says that. What a beautiful conversation. What a beautiful declaration of faith. Yes, I believe not only that you're the Son of God, but you are the Messiah, the one that was sent into the world to save us. I believe that. Jesus, you can sort of, an appreciative nod of someone who really grasps what it means to have faith in God's plan. Okay, so now Martha exits stage right, as it were, and here comes Mary. After she had said this, verse 28, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. The teacher is here, and he's asking for you. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and she went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house comforting her noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Now, if you mark in your Bibles, and we've talked about this a million times, take a little pencil and underline deeply moved in spirit and then underline troubled. Look, I think we've made this comment before. We've preached from John 11 before. I know we've studied together from John 11 before, and we've made this point that Jesus is a little bit taken aback at how upset they are over the loss of someone. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't shed tears. I'm not saying that we should not feel a feeling of loss. That is not at all. If that's what you take from this, then I'm horribly mistaken. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be sad if someone passes away. I'm not saying that you shouldn't mourn and shed tears. Not at all. And Jesus would not say those things. But what we have to sort of come to grips with is, as Christians, there is more to the story than the body, the physical body that's here on earth. And when this physical body stops working and we breathe our last on this earth, we as Christians of all people should realize the beauty of that transition for the Christian. And Jesus looks at these people and he looks at Mary and he thinks, why are you so upset? It's as though you don't get and you don't understand. With Martha, he didn't feel that way because Martha acknowledged, you are the Messiah. You're the chosen one. I know he's coming. I know he will rise again in the last day. I'm ready. I'm ready for that moment. I'm ready now. But with Mary, it's as though he's not angry. He's not upset with him. There's just that feeling, that troubled, that word troubled there sticks out like a sore thumb. He was deeply moved, certainly by their care and compassion for Mary and Martha and Lazarus and the family, for their care and compassion to follow Mary as they thought she was going to mourn. They wanted to be there to support her. There's some movement there, some emotional movement. But Jesus is troubled by the fact that they are so held up, they are held hostage by this feeling that they can't see like Martha could. What a beautiful transition for the Christian that is. So here's what he says. Where have you laid him? Verse 34. Come and see, Lord, they replied. And Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, see how he loved him. Okay. I'm good if you feel like that Jesus here is trying to show his humanity by shedding tears for the loss of a loved one. I'm good with that. If that's what you really, really deeply hold on to, that this is Jesus showing his humanity and that's all he's doing, then I'm okay with that. But I want you to think deeper. I want you to think one more step. I want you to go one more level down, because I want you to think about what just happened in the context of what Jesus is talking about. He's talking about, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the chosen one. I am the one who was sent by God. I am the one who is going to have the power to raise from the dead. I want you to tie into that. And Mary and these others are just so distraught by the loss of Lazarus that Jesus was troubled by the way that they presented themselves. So I want you to take one more step below that. And yes, Jesus is sad about the loss of a loved one. That's not to be disputed, but it's more than that. It is the fact that people who are standing there, even people like Mary and Martha, who have heard him and followed him and listened to him, they're missing the major point. that the one standing in front of them, Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, the Son of God, the Messiah, the chosen one, the one sent by God, they're missing the very fact that he is the resurrection. The Jews said, see how he loved him. Some of them, as we know, this is the community we live in now. Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying? Somebody's going to be skeptical no matter what. Somebody's going to be insulting no matter what. It doesn't matter what you do. Jesus, once more deeply moved, verse 38 says, came to the tomb. So we've had two conversations. Mary and Martha, two conversations, two slightly different representations. Here's the third conversation. Take away the stone, verse 39. But Lord, said Martha, the sister of the dead man, by this time there's a bad odor. He's been there for 4 days. Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? Do you see this? Jesus is sort of taking control of this narrative. So they took away the stone. Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me. You see now the full context? It's more than just Jesus showing his humanity. Jesus is looking around at these people, and he knows after what he's about to do, after this, nothing will ever be the same again. Nothing will ever be the same again. There's no way he can come back to Bethany and not be recognized. There's no way he can do anything and not be recognized as someone, knowing what he's about to do. He knows everything's going to be different after this. So he says, Father, I pray to you, I know that you've always heard me, but I said this because I want everybody standing here, including Mary and Martha and the apostles, I want everybody that's standing here to know that you sent me. Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said, take off the grave clothes and let him go. You could say there was a conversation between Jesus and Lazarus there, but really, truthfully, if we want to be right honest, we're kind of counting the group of people as one person. He had a conversation with Mary and Martha, and he had a conversation with those people that were standing there, really a conversation with God more than even that. And his conversation with God was simply this: I want to show them that you sent me. So, God, here I am showing them that you sent me. Lazarus, come out. And if you keep reading John chapter 11, you find that many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and seen what Jesus had done, they believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees, and some of them went to the chief priests. They called a meeting of the Sanhedrin, and they wanted to start trying to figure out a way to get rid of Jesus and even Lazarus. So let's look at quickly sort of the application. Many of us are living in the Martha world, and that's awesome. That's incredible. That's really encouraging. We know who Jesus is. We know what God's done for us. We know what his word says, and we follow it every day of our lives, at least the best we absolutely can. When we mess up, we ask for forgiveness immediately. We know, God, I want to be closer to you. God, I want to talk to you. God, I want to be connected to you. Some of us are in the Mary world where we are connected. We absolutely believe. We absolutely do. But sometimes things of the world just sort of grab our attention. And we need to be reminded and pulled back on the right path every now and again. Some of us are like those that were standing in the crowd that day that were complaining or basically seeing if they could put down Jesus because, hey, if he could heal a blind man, why didn't he do? Some of us that live in that world. But here's the bottom line. The bottom line is, where are you personally in your conversation with God? This week, we've challenged you, every single close of every single lesson this week, we've challenged you to have a conversation with God. Not a rote memorization prayer, but a conversation with God about the things that are going on in your life, about the things that you're dealing with, that you're struggling with, and to be honest and open with God. Be transparent with him. I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to go back and reread John 3, John 4, John 6, John 8, John 11, and look at how people dealt with Jesus when they had conversations with him and how their lives were forevermore changed when they walked away from those conversations. Your life can be the exact same today. Your conversation with God can leave you in such a position that you will never be the same again. And we mean that in the most positive, uplifting, and encouraging way. We hope to see you Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Hope that you'll be in the parking lot with us for worship. I know that if you feel like maybe you can't sit out in the crowd, you can be in your car. We have the capability for you to listen on the radio. If you must stay at home for whatever reason, we do have the Zoom capabilities. We are kind of working some bugs out on that, and it will be available Sunday morning. Pay attention and be looking for the Bible class to be posted sometime tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and then join us live, Facebook Live, Sunday night, as we will study together Sunday night on Facebook Live. Some way, somehow, we want to see you Sunday morning at worship and want to be a part of your spiritual growth as we hope that you're wanting to be a part of our church family as we all grow together, even in this time of separation. May God bless you. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Look forward to seeing you Sunday morning.